Does everyone have their milk and cookies? Oreos and milk? All right, how many twist, lick, and dunkers? How many
2.
biters? All right, it's about 50-50. Men tend to twist, lick, and dunk more, in case you wanted to know that. So I am Lisa Mann. I am Vice President of Cookies. I really enjoy that title, with Kraft Foods. And I am here with Draft FCB, and I am also going to try to fill the shoes of Susan Polachek, our Group Management Director Extraordinaire, who's under the weather. So here with me now is the extraordinary team that delivered Oreo 100th birthday creative. So we have Megan Sheehan, Creative Director, Jill Applebaum, Group Creative Director, and Major Anthony Nelson, in production, Group Management Director.
Anthony gets shit done.
Yeah. Okay, so with Oreo's 100th birthday, not that many brands get to celebrate their 100th birthday in this day and age. The need to be relevant at today as much as we were years ago is a big challenge. So what we found working with Draft FCB is the insight that we live in a world where people need to slow down, to take a moment and remember childhood innocence. So as a brand, we've made it our brand mission to save childhood. Now, you might say that that's a big mission for a small cookie. We actually think it's perfectly suited to us. This distinct cookie, when you take a moment and twist, lick, and dunk, you're oddly taken away, and you have a moment of childlike delight. Often it's shared with others, and sometimes intergenerationally. So for me personally, one of my favorite moments is twist, lick, and dunking with my kids. And when I took this position within Kraft, I found out that I'm completely not special. When consumers post their memories or their feelings about Oreo, it's often about their kid's first Oreo. And they will upload to our Moments Gallery pictures and videos of that moment. So on March 6th, we turned 100. And in celebration of that birthday, we unveiled a new print campaign that we're very proud of. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jill, who will tell you how it came to be.
So Oreo has a long history of iconic print ads. A few of them are up here for you to see. And we weren't really looking to reinvent the wheel. We still wanted to showcase our special relationship with milk, and we wanted to hero the cookie front and center. But it is a 100th birthday, so we had to find a way to amp it up a notch and to really do something special. And since these ads that we were going to create were to run globally, we reached out to our Draft FCB offices and a lot of other places, France, Canada, China, Venezuela, and some other offices in North America. And a lot of different ideas crossed our desk. And then we saw this one in particular that came from a French team. There they are. You can see how many executions they worked on, and they sent this picture of themselves over to introduce themselves because we couldn't meet them person to person. We saw their idea before we actually got to meet them. So that's Sebastian and Pierre-Marie. And there were a lot of ideas that we saw, and this one, from the minute we saw it, everybody just smiled and felt like it was right. And usually creative being so subjective, there was a lot of debate internally about which campaign to go with, and I can't even pretend that ever happened because it didn't. And I also can't pretend that we wrote a brilliant selling strategy to convince Lisa to do it, because all we really did was say, look. So after the idea came to pass, we then rebriefed all of these offices across the globe and said, now we need to make sure we have the very best executions. First, I'm going to show you. These are just some of the comps that came through originally. So while those are being shown, we rebriefed all of these offices, and we received back about 700 executions. Apologies to the trees. I have a lot of tree guilt being in this business. But we had board after board after board covered, and we had to establish some guidelines. So what were going to be the executions? How are we going to judge? we decided that first and foremost, they had to be true to the Oreo core value of just bringing childlike delight to the forefront. And also, we wanted to find that moment in pop culture that everybody around the globe would nod to. And we didn't want to distort the cookie too much. There's not a lot of branding in these ads other than that cookie itself, so we just had to really be true to the Oreo form. And to further discuss execution,
No, I think, the simple power of the idea was that it was the idea, and you didn't really need to be extraneous with art direction. So it really was about this cookie, and it was about finding the right balance of being minimal, but being iconic. And we worked with Richard Pierce, who's an amazing photographer. A lot of people worked on this. Megan Williams worked on it. People from all over the globe. Everybody in the office was able to put stuff up on blackboards, and it was just a huge collaborative effort. But worked with Richard Pierce, and he's an amazing still life photographer, but super iconic. And he has the right balance of not being too slick, but letting it still be textural and feel tactile and feel real, because at the end of the day, these needed to be iconic, but they also needed to feel crumbly and delicious, something you might want to eat. And we also wanted it to feel beautiful in a way, but almost like a child could have cracked open a cookie and made it Jaws and kind of made it swim through milk. So there was a balance we had to strike. So we'll just kind of go through executions, but just wanted to keep it really pure and simple and let the idea be the idea. So this is modern cubism, a little Picasso nod. This is Snow White and her 7 little dwarfs. Prohibition. The invention of the yo-yo. Soccer takes world stage. Baby boom. First 3D movie. Color TV. And actually, all those Oreos are actually made. Those are colors that exist for different holidays, so that wasn't us doing too much retouching. Those actually exist. Mount Everest conquered. Rock and roll. Summer of Love, which may have led to Baby Boom, or actually Baby Boom led to one or the other. And then Jaws, which is awesome. They're actually re-releasing their on Blu-ray, so we're going to be doing a big kind of live installation with this actual Jaws, so we're excited about that. And Pac-Man. Text messaging. Millennium Bug, and you probably can't see it from here, but it's spelled O-R-O-E, because the world was going to be destroyed when that happened, apparently. But Saturn, exploration. And then there was obviously a lot of stuff that hit the cutting room floor for obvious reasons. Some topically, conceptually,
right, so
weren't right, but
we would have loved to make this, but we had to admit it probably isn't true to the brand value childlike delight. The Chilean miners' rescue was another one we loved, but it's probably, and it had a happy ending, but probably too serious a subject matter. Mann goes over Niagara Falls in a barrel. Well, the issue was that it really happened before Oreo's inception, and it also, he didn't make it, so.
yeah.
Punk rocks, we loved that too, but we didn't know how well that would translate. Star Trek, The Voyage Begins.
Maybe we should make some of these. Everybody's laughing.
Yeah. World catches disco fever. Richard Pierce had to tell us, he had to smack us down and say, this one's not going to look good.
Well, that was the thing, too, with execution. You didn't want to do things that couldn't actually happen. You wanted to be careful about how much you treated the cookie. So with something like this, executionally, it just proved to be difficult. So it was on the cutting room floor.
Mickey Mouse. We also had only a certain amount of dollars to spend on securing rights. So Disney became cost prohibitive. Yeah. The Beatles. Which we tried to then, when they became too expensive, make it the Monkees. But
And then it was the Chipmunks that nobody's actually heard of.
yeah. And one of my favorites, the Addams Family. Again, we lost that one due to rights. And now we're going to turn it over to Anthony Nelson to talk about our TV approach for the birthday.
I think, I think the one interesting thing about how we approached production on the print was finding somebody who wasn't kind of traditionally known for shooting food. I mean, he's more of a, like makeup, like still life, like awesomeness, which I think was a great choice for that, because it lends a certain, you step out of the bounds. You think, oh yeah, they used a food shooter. And like, no, we didn't, which I think made it even cooler because his thought process was different. He was more worried about the idea than he was about the perfection of things from a like a foodie standpoint. That's why I think it came off so well. So when we started talking about TV, the whole goal of the TV was to kind of, how do you take, the ask was, how do you make this bigger? We've always done a lot of single moments over the years. This moment between a father and a son, or a mother and a daughter, or mother and son, or kids. So how do you take this and you kind of execute it into stuff that kind of exists broader in a bigger scale? That was the ask for us. So it was sort of set up as a documentary. I mean, we went through a lot of reels and we found a lot of people, and we landed on Errol Morris, who I've never heard more excited about a cookie in my entire life. Errol Morris is a well-known documentary filmmaker who has also done some great iconic brand work for just about everybody. You go look at his reel and you're like, wow. And he's genuinely a really interesting person who genuinely takes jobs because he loves the idea and loves the product and gets really excited about it. So I think we were very fortunate. I was very excited, and I did an entire thesis paper on one of his films, so I was kind of jazzed myself. So anyways, we had to kind of strike a balance between making sure we kept the core values of our production with Oreo, but at the same time pushing those bounds. And I think by filling a train full of people, are these going to play?
Yes.
Yeah, just want to play them down. We'll just.
You do something to me that nobody else could do.
You have the other one? Do them both? Yep. Okay. Play the other one.
You do something to me that nobody else could do.
That dad at the end gets me every time.
Yep.
It's a lovely. They're lovely pieces of film, and I think, having a client. It was. There were no storyboards. There were no. It was like let's find the people that we think would be great and put them in a room and see what happens. And we had to kind of take the faith that it was going to work. And then getting to music was 500 tracks, something like that, and we landed on Brian Ferry doing Cole Porter, which I thought was kind of amazing. And then Lisa walks in and she's like, "I love Brian Ferry, love Roxy music, such a good choice of music." We're like, whew. But the putting it together and finding those moments. Errol Morris did a great job shooting it. Andre Betts did a great job cutting it. And I think it kind of came together, interestingly enough, fairly quick, considering how much footage we shot. There was, it's just walls and walls of pictures of like what we were shooting on screen, and you're kind of like, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff. But I think that's what made it great. You know, a couple of days doing this stuff, and that's what we came out with. So we feel like we stayed pretty true to what Oreo has done in the past, but took it to a different place. Just like I think the print has stayed pretty true to the previous print, but took it to another place just to make it special for the 100th anniversary.
So obviously, like when every campaign breaks, we were so excited. We loved the work that Draft FCB did for us. But the night before everything breaks, you always have that holy crap moment. What if it doesn't work? Well, I'm very proud to say we think it's worked extraordinarily well for us. So the PR pickup around the birthday was like no other program I have done in my career. And again, I really, hats off to Draft FCB. So the print got extraordinary accolades. The pickup of the birthday itself, between TV and all of the other events, we had 6 events throughout the country with flash mobs, and Lady Antebellum sang happy birthday to Oreo, and we live streamed on Facebook. But the pickup was unreal, from the New York Times to every major morning shows locally throughout the country. And what I'd also like to say is with the print, I don't know if you might have picked this up, but this was truly our first global campaign. So as a company, we approached this differently. Draft is our agency globally, and the desire to do, we felt that we are, you know, the #1 cookie around the world. We should be able to have one message around the globe, not just one strategy. So we were very proud to put this out around the world. So it was in China, India. I mean, it was truly around the world. And again, I think we said globally we had over 2 billion impressions through all of the PR and all of the pickup. So it was unbelievable. And then as far as business results, Oreo has had the first quarter like no other. So it is over 25% growth around the world. And it's a $2 billion business around the world. So that's a big growth number. So we're very proud.
My friend
Do you want to talk about how we think about moving forward? Honestly, internally and with our agencies, obviously all we talk about now is
What's
how do you
next?
lap the birthday?
I
What
mean,
do
I
you
think we have the DNA, we built something here that I think can continue into the future. So we're actually going to be launching a program this summer called Oreo Daily Bites, and it's going to be on all social media channels. But what it does is it actually recreates current events, meaning like on a daily basis, pop culture, things going on in pop culture through the lens of Oreo, much like we did here. So it's going to be that we are part of a conversation in real time. So that's a really exciting thing we're going to do this summer. A couple live installations, big scale installations of the stuff we talked about earlier, but it's just an exciting opportunity. These are really fun to make, and just being part of the creative process, like everybody's got a million ideas for it. So we feel like this 100-day thing is going to be really fruitful, and it's going to create a lot of content that we can use and have fun with. So
I also think it gives the opportunity to consumers to share and peer-to-peer.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm a big advocate of peer-to-peer sharing. I think that's like the future, and I think that getting people to talk about your brand, like they've talked about this brand, and continuing that and letting them be part of that conversation, I think is so important, which is why I'm pretty excited about the program this summer as well, because I think there's an active need for consumer engagement from a peer-to-peer level, and I think this will do it.
It's so amazing
great.
that the fanaticism over this little cookie, it 26 million Facebook likes. It's amazing.
Yeah. Cool.
Any questions,
Thoughts?
thoughts, comments?
I see one in the back.
Hey, Jen, commented.
I think it's interesting that right now we are so overwhelmed with content at every pass. We're also overwhelmed at the shelf. And I think part of the power of Oreos and its iconic quality is that it goes back to a time when everything was simpler. And it's like one of the first
That's our favorite kind of question.
Exactly.
I think that's true, though. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't have a memory of an Oreo growing up, so it transports you to a simpler time, and, you know, it's something I think we all need in society right now. So this is, I don't know how many brands could, like, actually have this role, so.
Was it good? Did you like it?
And? Yeah.
Yeah.
Over there?
I have a comment last question. So what was really impressive about the sort of scope and breadth of this campaign is how you were able to play with the shapes of the Oreo cookie. And it takes me back to a presentation I saw probably about 15 years ago at Pepperidge Farm on goldfish. And they had only recently at that time in the mid-90s played with the iconography of the shape of the goldfish. They had never incorporated that really into their marketing plan. And it was sort of like their aha moment. And so for you, the aha moment here is like playing with the shape of the cookie. So I'm just curious what other concepts would you have before you settle on this one?
Well, we saw a lot of concepts around, more around 100, the fact that it was a brand turning 100, so a lot of different, using the cookies as zeros in a 100, and, champagne glasses filled with milk, and a lot of things that celebrate. They were more about the birthday than about you taking the shapes and turning them into historical moments.
Some of these parameters of the campaign, placements, maybe
You mean placements as in where this stuff ran globally? There's a lot of print globally. We had Times Square. We kept them up, during the launch of the thing. We kept it, just to keep a profile out, some outdoor to keep people engaged. And print here, I think four-page spread in People and magazine ads and
And it was
newspapers.
the People Oscars issues, so we used all of the executions that were through the lens of film.
No.
I'm sorry, no. It was,
No, we did 16 ads.
So, but I think what was really interesting was we didn't really have to put them very many places for them to get picked up, and people shared. I mean, it's just watching people build their own Pinterest pages on this stuff really kind of made me happy.
Yeah.
Because it showed that the work worked. If people are sharing it, that means it's working. People shared it in online and in conversations, and people are like, oh, did you work on Oreo? Did you guys do? I mean, people I don't even know who aren't even in the business were talking about it to me. So, and the breadth of TV was TV. TV ran where TV ran. Wait, the Pinterest page?
Oh, that was a part of the TV commercial, yes.
That was
That was-
TV,
right.
yeah.
I was wondering if you guys could speak to the demographics of who the Oreo cookie customer is and how much market share Oreo cookies have in the
Okay.
packaged cookie category. I'm just curious because as a godmother of three, I'm just amazed at how my 3-year-old, 8-year-old, 5-year-old know Oreo cookies.
Right.
I'm like, how do you guys know you Oreo?
Right.
I mean, I know as a child, and I'm just wondering.
Huh. So actually, we do not market to children. Our target is moms with kids 6 to 12. So that is the center of the bullseye. But we know that it is a universal cookie. There is a universality about it, but we talk to moms with kids.
Hi, I have a question. I love Oreos. I've eaten them all my life since I was a kid. But one thing that I've heard companies talk about the past couple days has been challenges that they face. And I just have known recently that some of the America's soft drink and beverage companies have faced this challenge over giving increased healthier options to children. And so we've seen a reduction of like our children to perhaps not be eating them as much? And I have no dog in this fight, but I'm just curious as to whether that's something that Oreo marketing has to incorporate into its strategy, including when do you decide to engage that argument coming at you and make that a part of your own content?
So actually, Kraft was one of the founding members of sort of the, watch group with consumer manufacturer watch group, and we hold ourselves to a very high level, and that's why we do not market to children. We do not have we never tried to do in-school marketing, even through high school. So that's because we believe it is our responsibility. As for eating trends in America, the way we look at it is everything in moderation. So, and that is our philosophy, and we believe there's a role in everyone's life for indulgence and for healthy eating. Within our portfolio, and now especially as we split into a global snacking company, which is obviously where Oreo will go once the split happens at Kraft Foods, we have healthful snacking through indulgent snacking. We have the entire spectrum. So globally, in the United States and globally, we believe there's a role for Oreo now and into the future, and there's a role for healthy eating now and into the future. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thanks. Thanks for taking a risk. Great.
That was fun.
You guys did, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who's next.
You can have a moment of childlike delight
In
and
the
twist
back.
and twist, lick, and dunk.